Alright, good morning, good afternoon, good day. So today we're going to pick up where we left off last week. Once you've finished 78 and then 80, right, because on 80 all you're doing is using these measurements from your title block or your border to help you find these points, and then you connect those points and show the appropriate lines. So the next thing we're going to talk about are basic geometric constructions. And this is essentially where you just take shapes, and as architects or engineers, we are able to look at objects or shapes with only one piece of information and understand how to put the rest together. And this is strictly something that is done by designers and engineers, where we look at shapes and we see things or understand them from a geometric perspective. Or even, for instance, how you might construct a hexagon from a circle, or a square even for that matter. And you'll see as we move forward how you might do these, and they're pretty straightforward. Most of you may already know this, but as you go through this exercise it'll help your geometry as well. So the first thing we're going to do is do problem sheet geometrics, and you guys are going to duplicate this sheet, but you're also going to finish and follow the exact step that it asks you. And after you do that, you're then going to pick six objects. I want you guys to maybe pick 3 to 6 objects off of this page that we're going to draft, and you'll see that in a little bit. I think what we're going to do is we're going to do the United States emblem, and then we'll pick, or you can pick any 3 to put below there, and you'll see as we move forward how we do that. So let's go ahead and jump on to geometrics. Nice. Get my paper dirty. So we're going to go ahead and split our paper into the correct pieces. So I want to measure out this grid. So these are right at 3 5/16 and 3 1/2. So I come down 3 1/2 to find my middle line, and then each one of these are 3 5/16. So I'm going to go ahead and make my mark here. If you remember, 3 1/2 is half of our border, and I've already drawn my border here, and I'm just going to add in, I'm going to go 3 5/16 from 3 5/16 from this side, and you can get this measurement off the page directly. Then I'm going to use my T-square, and alright, so now I've split my border. I'm going to go ahead and call this geometrics. And then your class name is Intro to Drafting. And your student name, your drawing number 6-1. Alright, so our first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and add in all my text on all my borders. So I'm going to go ahead and do my 1/4 inch line, and I'm just duplicating the page here. Just going to show a little bit of a line that is a 1/4 inch tall. Actually, we'll do 1/8 inch. So we're going to do 1/8 inch there. I just came up 1/8 and then marked 1/8 to give a little bit of room off my page. And now I'll do this with a red pen because you want to consider that this is going to actually be guidelines. So these need to be really light lined. That's why I use the red pen. I'm just going to do these at the beginning of each box to give room for the description. All right. All right. Now the first one we have, we're going to duplicate these pages. Bisect line AB, bisect arc. So I'm just going to rewrite these titles before I come in and draw this geometry. So all right, this is transfer angle. And construct and finally construct equilateral. Extend my guidelines. Remember, these are light lines. I don't want to see these dark. Alright, now, next step. We've got our text, we've got everything ready, so now we're just going to duplicate each of these. We're going to finish each one of these. So the first thing I'm going to do is, you don't have to really place these exactly where they show them. I'm just going to try to get them in about the same area. So this line is 1 3/4 inches long. So I'm just going to set my T-square up with my triangle. I'm going to make a line that is 1 3/4 inches long. Sort of where it looked like it was in the book. Make a dot. Make a dot. And this is letter B. This is A. Now it says to bisect line A through B. So all you got to do is look at your 1 3/4, and then now what you have to do is do the math. You know, what's halfway between 0 and 1 3/4? What's half of that? And what you'll find as you look this up is that it's 7/8. So in other words, I just looked at how many spaces there were in here and then divided that by 2. That means this is bisecting. Now if it's bisecting, that means there's a center line. And a center line has the long dash, short dash, long dash. So it will look like this. And so that would be the bisecting of that line. Alright, now we want to bisect arc AB. So we have arc AB, and now what we need to do is we're going to measure just the line from the two. In fact, let's measure from the border where it's at. It's 3/4 inch off the border here, and it's 3/4 inch off the border there. So that's the first thing we'll do. We'll plot these points. I'm going to use my triangle. I'm going to line it back up with AB from before. And then I'm going to make a 3/4 inch mark right there. And then I'll make a 3/4 inch mark right here. Okay, so that's there. Now, if we're bisecting the arc, right, if we're going to reproduce this arc, all you really need to do is we want to just find that midpoint again. So you want to measure that distance. And what we'll do is we'll try to find that center. So we'll grab our compass. Or we'll get our circle template. Let's get that. Now the lead has come out of this one, so these are real easy to fix. If yours comes out, you just want to open up this piece, place in your lead. Now I'm going to tighten that back, and then what we're going to do is we're going to search for this arc. Alright, we're going to try and find what's roughly the center. So I just want you to kind of start thinking about where the middle is. In fact, let's do this. These 2 points we've made, let's find the middle of them. So it's about 1 3/4 again. So you make your dot. Now I'm going to make a guideline using my red pen that is a vertical line. Okay? Now that vertical line right there means that this compass, this center point, when I turn this, should meet from that one to that one. So all you need to do is take your compass, follow this center line, and try to find the perfect match where your compass meets both dots. So look there, I found one. So there is A and B. And you're going to mark that center point there using a center line. So we're going to take back that line that you made, and you're going to make that just like the line we made before. Long dash, short dash, long dash. And that would be bisecting. Alright, now let's bisect angle CBA. Alright? So what I would do is I would just grab your protractor. If you have your protractor, you're going to take your protractor and you're going to center it on B, and you're going to try to figure out what that angle is, right? So this angle is roughly looks like a 45. Yep. So you're going to draw a 45-degree angle in your square. Try to make it look similar to that. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to make a diagonal line sort of like what they have shown. Like that. And this is C, this is B. Then I'm going to take and make a 45-degree angle off of that. Now we could do that two ways. One with our protractor, or one with our triangle. Now the way you would have to do that is we want to use our protractor, might make it a little easier. And I'm going to use my scale to find that 45 to make sort of my arm. Alright, so if we take that and complete this, this would be A. Alright, so now between A and C, now let's go ahead and plot A directly vertical from C. So that would be here. So A, you're going to draw and then we're going to split the vertical distance between A and C. So you put the 0 on C, and then whatever's left over. I have roughly 1 3/8, so we need to split that. Actually, I have 1 5/16. So half of 1 5/16. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So half of 21 is 10.5. So I want to go 10.5/16. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.5 would put me a dot there. And now that line is going to be bisecting, which means you'll do another center line. So you want to go from the vertex, long dash, short dash, long dash. Now you've bisected that line. Now, next one we're going to do is transfer angle ABC to the new location. So you want to go ahead and do the same thing for this step. You're going to transfer the angle over using your protractor and draw that angle here as well on the new location. Alright, now let's do that one. So the angle that they did this at, let's see, this is 32 degrees. So what I want you guys to do here, you're going to take angle ABC, which is 32 degrees, so we'll just make a 32 degree. Just going to make our first diagonal, which looks similar to what's on the page. We're going to come 32 degrees off of that. So once again, we're just duplicating the page. And then we're going to transfer that angle make sure you show that center point there. And then we want to transfer that down to a horizontal line. So we just make a horizontal line. And we make that a 32 degree angle. And finish that up. Now, what I'd like you to do here is put the angle. Alright, now, the next part is to construct a triangle from A, B, and C. So, we want to go ahead and draw A, B, and C, and we want to show those lengths. So, A is 1 1/8, B is 1 3/8, C is 1 3/4. So A, 1 1/8. Let's do A first. So line up our T-square, get our triangle. So we'll do our 1 1/8 line first. Almost done. 1 1/8 we said, then 1 3/8. Let's flip it so we make sure we're doing this in a clean manner. 1 3/8. And finally 1 3/4. Which is there. One 3/4 right there. So this is. Alright, so we need to make a triangle out of those. So what I would do is we want to start off with the C. Let's just start off with our base. And our baseline was 1 3/4 inches. So we're going to make a baseline that is 1 3/4 inches. This side of the thing is rough. Triangle's a little chewed up here, so I'll just make measurements and then use my triangle there, or my scale is a little rough. Now we need a line that is 1 3/8 and 1 1/8. So I'm just going to start looking at where 1 3/8 hits, and then 1 1/8 as well. And I'm just trying to see how to plot that's about it right there. In fact, if you mark out 1 1/8 here, and then we measure another 1 and so we've got A to B to C. Okay, so this one you really just have to play with the scale, your measurements, and rotate your scale and kind of eyeball where the points for your 1/8, right? If I'm spinning my scale this way, where is those going to intersect to give us the best dimension for all? Excuse me. Alright, now finally we want to construct an equilateral triangle here with line AB. AB is 1 3/4 inches long. Again, my scale is a little chewed up, so I'm just going to measure 1 3/4 inches. So we want to go ahead and draw that horizontal line. Okay. Now to make this equilateral, what we first want to do is bisect that line. So remember, half of 1 3/4 was 7/8. So using my light pin, I'm going to make that center line. Long dash, short dash, long dash. Then, here's the trick. You want to measure 1 3/4 all the way from this point until it hits that line. So you rotate your scale until you see your 1 3/4 mark. Right? I'm going to keep my 0 on the end here. And then I'm going to take my scale and I'm going to swing it down until I hit my 3/4 inch, my 1 3/4 inch mark at that bisecting line. And what that's going to do is that'll give you a straight, true equilateral triangle. And so there we've got our basic geometric constructions. You've taken AB, you found the center of AB and drew a center line. You found the arc, we found the center line between A and B, and we used that vertical line to make our radius. We bisect angle ABC. All we did was measure this angle, and then a vertical distance between these two will show us where to bisect that angle. So in other words, we get half here and half there. Transfer angle, that one we've done before, pretty straightforward. The tricky one, constructing a triangle, you want to use your base long leg as your base, and then take your triangle, your scale, and using your dimension, right, 1 1/8, start playing around with where these A and B would intersect. So you're just kind of swinging that line until you see it work. And finally, equilateral triangle. We measure the width here, and we find our center, draw our center line, and take that length from here, right? If we pretend like I just hold this still, you just take your triangle like that. Now you could use your compass to do this too, right? We could take our compass, and that'll do it.